I'm the Christmas tree. Yeah. And, you know, it was right for that night, you know, wouldn't be not the next time.
Don't try it yourselves, yeah,
So
yeah,
how do
right.
you teach people? First place, if somebody, they wanted to dance, the people who were in my little group, they wanted to dance on dancing, keep on dancing in a way that they could do. We performed about once every year in a way that they could show what they were, their languages, their way with each other, without having to overtax themselves or learn, you know, they had all gone on in life, so to speak, had other things they were doing. So that, with that group, the teaching is basically just to be very aware of them. I'm so aware of them. And feeling what each person, like one person who joined us, it took me a long time for me, I think I'm doing it too, I have a problem with it too. She danced gorgeously with her eyes closed. And I do that too. When I try to hear inside, I go, ugh. And so to get to her to the point where she would open her eyes while she moved was a big, big change for her. And beautiful, very beautiful. Another thing I noticed, there's a woman who's really a choreographer in my group, but she wants to improvise. And with her, it's just that you can feel her head holding everything she's creating. And I just say, lose your head, Mars, lose your head, you know, and then it goes. So it's different for each person, you know.
Yeah.
For children, even if they don't perform, children just love to move. Any movement they've seen, they'll try to make it happen again. And so I think I'm not going to be able to in this lifetime, but if I come back, I try to teach some children. You know.
It sounds like almost maybe there are things that we need to unlearn in order to do it rather than things that we need to learn, right? I want to give you all an opportunity to ask a question, which I will repeat before we close with a little bit more movement. But just if there are any questions from among you that we can put to her. Yes. So a question about Haunted, the first section that we saw, and that was filmed in your loft, wasn't it? And was there an audience?
Yeah. Yes, actually not a very formal audience, because we just pulled it together at the last minute. We built the background stuff. The whole Limon Company came.
Ah, the Limon Company was in that.
Audience.
Yeah, well, that's a pretty good audience to have. Yeah. Well, great. So it was inspired. Yes. So a question about whether you had danced on your own to that particular music.
No.
Since the music was set, but you hadn't.
No,
yeah.
it was a gift from Liz.
Yeah.
I worked with her improvisationally at the club where you saw me do the word. I always opened my act improvising with some musician. Colin Walcott on sitar, Badal Roy on tablas, Ani Lawrence on sax. I did different ones. And then with Liz, she played piano, and she was really nice, because a lot of pianists don't want to think that I'm up there. And so she was open to it. And so we did 2 weekends with 4 shows altogether with her. But it was all improvised. I think she had things in her mind already, but she was shaping it with me. Then at some point during all that, she gave me one of her cassettes. It was then still cassettes. And that night, just, you know, I tried different things. I did Lady Smith Black Mombasa, I did Graceland, you know, I did a lot of free stuff, and along with the set stuff. And then I just remembered, it's called Reconciliation, the piece, and
the music is called.
Yeah, it's called Reconciliation. So I thought, okay, let me try one of Liz's pieces, because I really know her. I know her style. You know, I danced with her style, put it that way. I knew her breathing. Do you know what I mean? I knew the kind of thing she would be after. And actually, I end up having a language. If you see what I did at the bottom line, which we have on tape, and then what I see here, you see that because of working with her, I'd begun to develop sort of a little bit of a language for her things. It's kind of a feeling of elasticity around in here somewhere.
Yes, back there.
Sorry, I'm just curious what projects you're working on right now.
Well, so this lady is asking what projects you're working on now, and that was where we were going next. So you're going with the power of the moment, which is excellent. Dancing Without Steps is the title of something you're in the process of doing.
I've been trying for a while to get this off the ground. I wanted, as I got older, I'm in my 70s, I wanted to just make something so you didn't have to go through all this stuff, because I have masses of stuff.
Videos, films.
Film. I mean, this is really proud sounding, but I am proud. This is really proud. I realized that I had danced, but when I started, 1958 until 1975, I had already danced way over 1,000 performances. But that's partly because I worked in clubs and we did 2 or 3 shows a night. So, I'm counting each show. But that fact made me feel, I can't go through all that, you know what I mean? I want to see if I could make something. So we're thinking of trying to do a film, and I'm not quite sure, we've tried different things. About a 40, 45-minute film, I'm not sure, but just giving the idea of how to work this way because of the fact that the body is like a paintbrush, it's your language, it's such an amazing thing.
Well, and I should mention that Meg Honeywell, who works with you as a producer, is here today, and anybody wanting more information about that, Meg, raise your hand. Where are you? Yes, there you are there. And I want to really, to show that the 5 minutes, because there's so much in this. This is a little bit of a promo, for Dancing Without Steps, but we see a lot of different strains of things. There are strains that we've been talking about throughout this visit, and I think it sort of brings it together in an interesting.
This little clip was more to get people interested in me because I'm not that well known, and I was trying to touch on a little bit the feeling of the human story, but when I would actually do the film, I'm trying to find a way to weave in, maybe through doing one piece where I really show you what goes on in me to create that improv, something like that. I'm trying to find somewhere in the film where I really get into the techniques that I feel I've got to know. But it also, I wanted to bring people into me as a person, so that's this one.
And I just have to say, too, as we begin to watch this, that it really shows the power of documentation and the fact that you were smart enough to get some things down on film. I mean, we see even some black and white footage of you sitting by the river and talking about your work. That footage was what, from 1970? 74. So just just before you came to the pillow first. So let's have a look at this.
For dancing, I think more than any other art, you can't make the technique be the subject of the dance, because then the dance is not connected to the soul, and dancing is an expression of the human soul. It's intelligent motion with emotion.
I'd seen in my mind when I read poetry a figure moving, and I decided to try to get up and move that figure as I spoke, because the rhythm of the speech and the rhythm of the movement I felt had to be coming from one source.
Tulips are too red in the first place. Even through their gift paper, I could hear them breathe, lightly through their white swaddlings like an awful baby. Their redness talks to my wound. It corresponds. They are subtle. They seem to float, though they weigh me down, upsetting me with their sudden tongues and color, a dozen red-lipped sinkers round my neck.
The impulse means that you stay connected by wires to your center, and you listen as it gurgles up, and you give it shape, either as motion, or as sound, or as words. I have talent in this area, and this is never stopped satisfying me. I'd rather travel through this, eat through this, sleep through this, live through this, love through this, because I know then I'll know this before I go. We're all on such a short trip.
And the heart, the desperate heart, like a box of roses, burns in the luminous dark.
Yes, thank you. I know we've only scratched the surface, but I think we all have a sense, I certainly have a sense of the phrase that we used in the description of this talk, which was the power of the present moment. And it's very powerful to have you back with us. And I hope you'll come again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for being here.